In today's interview, I'm sitting down with a former brand and website design client of ours, actually twice. So once in 2018 and once in 2024. And it's somebody who I consider not just a client, but also a friend in the pet industry. She is a true light. Her name is Heidi. You may have heard of her already from Heidi and Hope Pet Services, located in Naples, Florida. She's seriously such a gem. In the episode, we're talking about a lot. We're talking about community. Her business is super community oriented, and I wanted to dig into her brain to figure out how she uses this to grow her business. And then I couldn't not ask her about her brand and website design since we did work together and the results that she experienced since working together. She actually messaged me several months before we recorded this episode to tell me that 90% of her clients came from Google after we worked together on her rebrand and website, which is incredible. So I wanted to dig more into the details of that, how she tracked that data, what she thinks actually made the biggest impact, and what she thinks is the most important aspect of her website when it comes to generating leads and what she recommends for you guys. Then we head it over into business confidence because that's such a big indicator of enjoying our business and also making those connections that we talk about. So we kind of circle back to that community aspect, building those connections and just making sure that we feel good as business owners. And I am so dang happy to be even just recording this intro about her because she is such a light in the pet industry. And I'm so excited for you guys to listen and just enjoy this conversation between two pet industry friends and a client of ours. Welcome, Petpreneur, to the Pet Marketing Unleashed podcast. I'm your host, Michaela Vargas, founder, designer, and educator behind Pet Marketing Unleashed. This podcast is all about growing your pet business without the stress. Here, you'll find episodes packed with actionable tips and advice for streamlining your online presence, avoiding burnout, and onboarding new clients while you're away from your desk or out with the dogs. So pop in those earbuds and learn stress-free marketing and website strategies with me while you head out on your next dog walk, pet sitting visit, drive to your next session, or just wherever your pet business takes you next. Let's dive in. Okay, Heidi, I have to start by saying that I've had the absolute joy of working with you over the years and watching your business grow year after year. And it's such an honor to now officially have you on the podcast so we can all learn a little bit about the amazing work and things that you've done over the years. So thank you so much for being here.
Thanks you so much for having me. I'm really glad that I'm here and I get to talk to you.
Yeah, it's always fun to talk to Heidi.
Been in my life for so long.
I know, right? So I'd love to kind of just get started by if you want to just tell our listeners a little bit about you and your business, specifically like where you got started and where you're at now.
Yeah, so I'm actually originally from Ohio and I have been working with animals professionally since I was 18 and would always volunteer at like our local humane society or our local vet office in Ohio, like in between college and summers and all of that good stuff. But my family and I used to vacation all the time in Naples, Florida. And during the summers, I would volunteer at the Humane Society here in Naples. So like when my parents would go to the beach, they would drop me off and I would like spend 4 hours Humane Society helping out and then they'd pick me up. But yeah, so I decided to move here permanently in 2016. And I was just kind of pet sitting on the side. I really didn't have like a job with animals per se, like I did in Ohio. In Ohio, I was working, for paid money in the humane societies and then also working at a vet office. So when I came down here, I kind of just got a job like right away at Barnes and Noble, and then I was pet sitting on the side. But then quickly I gained more clients and those clients kept referring me to other clients. And it just turned into, I was making more money pet sitting, doing my side gig than I was at Barnes and Noble. So I decided to make it a legit company in 2018. So yeah, Heidi and Hope Pet Services was born and we're here in Naples, Florida, and we provide pet sitting, dog walking, and pet wedding services right now.
That's awesome. Like super random question, but were your parents surprised when you were like, I'm moving to Naples?
No, because I think like they also wanted to come here eventually, like once they were both retired. So they're here now, so they, eventually followed me. But yeah, I think they were, pleasantly surprised because I was going to be down here and they wanted to be down here. So yeah, I think it was like the best decision for all of us.
Yeah, that's awesome. I love when it works out that way, that now you guys are all in the same place. That's so cool.
Yeah.
So from the first time that we've worked together, you've been like so focused on community, which I think is so inspiring and just refreshing, honestly, because I really see that care there. Like from the first time we've gone on a call together, like I know that you're so big on Naples. Obviously, it's like a sentimental thing too. You grew up vacationing here, now you live here. Like that community aspect is so important from you. So was that intentional from the beginning? Like, did you want to make it super community focused, or how did that become such a big part of what makes your business yours?
I think because I live now where I used to vacation. So like Naples was always a place for me to kind of like get away and, like just like relax and like come into myself, if that makes sense. So I think it just kind of naturally came like with like the appreciation and like the dream of living here kind of transcribed, I guess, into like wanting to focus more like on the community aspect.
Yeah, for sure. And there's so much benefit, like from a business standpoint, also that I think would be helpful for our listeners to learn about a little bit. So
Yeah.
I'd love to start with the beginning from that. Like, how did you start first, like building those connections when you were new to Naples, or how did you start using that for your business?
Yeah, so I would kind of research some like tech friendly locations like in my area, like specifically areas that I service because I don't service all of Naples. And I would just like stop in and just like create a relationship with the person, whether that was like a pet boutique or a pet friendly coffee store or like a pet friendly restaurant or a pet supply store. So I would just like really try to build a relationship with the people that were working there. Like not necessarily like throwing the cards down and being like, I'm a pet sitter, use me, but like, actually like building the relationship with the store owner, buying their product, posting about it on social media. Just like I just kind of see it as like a team effort because like we can't do it all when it comes to pets. So like if I can recommend, a really good pet supply store for a client, then, I'm going to send them to, that place that I made that relationship with. And then just continuing to foster that relationship, just not going in there like one time and then, forgetting about them, just like continuing to like stop in and check in and see if they need anything, drop off your cards, tell them if you have something new going on, ask them how business is doing. And like I said, really utilizing like social media and just trying to get everyone's name out there because ultimately, like we're all trying to support our community, our Naples community, especially our pet community. That's just like a great way to foster those relationships and kind of all work together.
Yeah, I love that you say that too. That like community over competition thing. But then there's also just, yeah, like pet lovers. Like we all want to boost that for sure. It's funny because and I won't mention the franchise name, but I used to work at a doggy daycare, like boarding facility that's franchised all over the US. And I was doing their marketing. This was back in college. And we would go all around San Diego and pass out business cards with like some treats. And I'm like, you're going to like 20 different groomers and 20 different, like, and there was no relationship outside of like, here's the business cards. I'm like, people are, and we would drive around. I'd drive around with my partner. I'm like, people are not gonna, this doesn't mean anything to them. We're not doing any, I hated doing it, but it was just part of the job. But I love that you actually like focus on building that relationship and that partnership because I feel like that really makes a big difference and they're going to be more likely to refer to you if they actually know who you are and what you stand for.
Yeah, but it's one thing to like build relationships with other pet professionals as far as like pet sitting and dog walking and people in your area, which I do. I mean, I do that as well, but I think it's important to get into like the businesses also because, they're also part of the community and they have like a whole realm of clients that like I wouldn't necessarily know to speak to. So I just think it's really important to like not just like the other people that are in the same field in your area to connect with, but just, just pet locations in general.
For sure. So have you noticed like certain types of partnerships or relationships that have made a bigger difference in your business compared to others?
Yeah, I think my relationship with the pet boutique that's down here, they do a lot of events that benefit the Naples Humane Society. So I've actually done a couple of events where like all the proceeds were donated to the Humane Society, especially if there's like a hurricane and they need, like relief there, just like doing events with them and kind of like coordinating, like bringing my clients and they bring their clients and then like it benefits like the Humane Society for the community as a whole. So I think it's like fostering those relationships because that way it's not like, if like the priority is not, oh, I want to get more clients in the store. I want to get more clients on my roster. It's, benefiting the Humane Society.
That's cool. I love that you do that. That's awesome. So I know, and we've kind of talked about this like privately, that we're both a little bit more like introverted and that sort of stuff. So I'd love to kind of tackle that because I know there's a lot of people in the pet industry that are a little more like shy or kind of unsure about like putting themselves out there. So maybe learning about this community stuff can be really intimidating, or how do you get started, that sort of thing. So I'm curious if you have any advice for those who are starting to network and build those local connections. I'm pausing this episode really fast to share something with you. If you're looking for an easy way to create beautiful emails that connect with your audience, I've got just the tool for you, Flowdesk. It's super user-friendly, and the best part, you don't need to be a designer to make your emails look amazing. Whether you're sending out monthly newsletters or you're diving into more advanced segmentation, Flowdesk makes email marketing simple and effective. And because I want to help you take your email marketing to the next level, you can use my code UNLEASHED to get 50% off your first year with Flowdesk. It's the perfect way to create stunning professional emails, no matter your skill level or how complex your email strategy is. Head to the show notes or go directly to flowdesk.com and use code UNLEASHED to get your 50% off offer. All right, let's get back to the episode.
Yeah, I think just like keeping in mind, like you said, like it's community over competitions. But I think when I first opened my business, I had like all of these other like pet sitters like reaching out to me and like trying to get me to join their group. And I'm like, why would I join a group with all of these pet sitters? Like they're my competition. But like it really isn't like that. So I think just being a little bit like more open-minded and then just kind of like jumping all in. Like honestly, like, you know, I've had this company since 2018 and I still get nervous for new client meet and greet. Like meeting someone for the first time and like making sure like everything works out and like the pet's comfortable and the client's comfortable and we get along and like they're okay with our policies. Like I honestly still get nervous. Like I mean, the nervousness is always there, but I think it gets better as you like keep making those connections and keep having those discussions. Yeah, like I said, like I just having like an open mind and then I just kind of like jump in, and if like you feel stupid, well, you're probably not stupid. I mean, like I think we're all like super hard on ourselves, but like, you know, like I think ultimately, like someone's just like appreciative that you're talking with them about business and like just asking how they're doing, I think definitely helps.
Yeah. My husband always tells me too, because whenever I do like anything businessy related, I'm like, well, what are we going to talk about? And he's like, ask people about themselves. Like people love to talk about themselves and to share about like their
Exactly.
business and stuff. I feel like that's such good advice because I don't want to necessarily be like talking a whole bunch of stuff. I'm asking questions, but then it also shows people that you care. And I think a lot of times when we are nervous, it is because we care. Like we have this business, we want to make sure that we're doing a good job. And so it can be a little bit tricky. Like, I don't know. It's just nice to know we care. And so if you get nervous, it's okay.
Yep. I found getting older too definitely helps. I'm definitely not as nervous in my 30s as I was in my 20s. So.
Yeah. Yeah, there you go. Same.
Yeah.
So I'd love to pivot a little bit to your website and Google wins, because this is really exciting to share. This is when you actually emailed me some of this and I was so excited to read it. So we first worked back together. I looked it up. I have it in my notes in August of
Like
2019. Yeah, which is crazy. That was the first time we worked together, which your business then at that point was only like a year old, right?
It was just me.
Yeah.
Yep. And it was still just me. Yeah.
Yeah. That's so awesome. And then we officially rebranded and did an overhaul of your brand and website in early of 2024. So you messaged me recently and told me that 90% of your inquiries following that came from Google, which is incredible. So I'd love to talk a little bit about how that's been. How did you realize that that was what was happening? How has it helped your business? Like if you just want to share a little bit.
Yeah. So like throughout the month, I have a spreadsheet that keeps track of how people found me. Like whether they convert into a client or not, I just keep track of how people are finding me. So like I knew like the majority of my people were coming from Google after we worked together. I didn't realize how much it was until I started Michelle Klein's mastermind class beginning of this year. Shout out, Michelle. And yeah, her mastermind class is like incredible. And like the whole first month is figuring out your numbers. And so I started totaling up like where all of these new clients were coming from, so you can get an idea of the market that you're serving and like your client avatar. And I added up like all of the different ways people were finding us. And it was literally all from Google, like especially in 2024, which I think since the rebrand, I think it really helped. And like I always knew that like Google was in the lead, quote unquote, with people like finding me, but I didn't realize how much it was until we crushed the numbers at the beginning of this year.
That's wild. There's so much goodness in there.
Yeah.
Number one, how important data is to your business, to understanding what the heck's going on. And two, because now you can realize where you should be focusing more of your efforts compared to other marketing aspects. Is that something that you're now like taking into decision making, working more on, I don't know, like blogs or things online, getting backlinks? What have you changed? Have you changed anything since learning that information marketing wise?
So I have it on the list. One of my like goals this year is to go back, especially since I listened to one of your episodes about blogging, going back to all of my blog posts, like from the early days, editing them and making sure all the links that are in there are work and like make sure all like the services and the places are still open and still relevant. I think it definitely helps. And then always just found like I get a surge of clients if I update my Google listings. So if I'm like posting photos in there or, updating the hours, updating the description, I always feel like I get like a little bit of a boost with clients reaching out when I update that, and making regular updates to the website as well, I think helps. But yeah, I have it on my list this year to go through all of my blogs and, update them and make sure they're all relevant so it shows up on the SEO. And also, like, I know we worked a lot else on our Naples favorites page. So that's where all of my pet friendly businesses and recommendations are. And I really think having those on your website too have been help a lot. I know I've heard from other people that like having links to other people's website actually like hurts your website, but like I don't think that's the case. Like I think having other people's websites that are in your area on your platform, like, I think really helps and really boosts the SEO factor.
Yeah, there's so much gold in all that you just said. So I hope I remember all of it because I'm like, I want to like touch on a lot of these things. Number one would be Google business listings. I feel like a lot of people don't realize that SEO and the rankings and inquiries and all that kind of stuff comes from your website, but also other things on other websites that lead back to your website. So whether it's Google business listings or other community members linking back to your website, that's super gold. So that's super awesome that you're recognizing that because Google loves business listings. So they love when you're updating that. The other thing is the Naples favorites page, such gold mine, especially for a business that is so community oriented. That's almost like it's a big value of your business. So to be able to do that is super awesome. But now people have a place where they can check out a trusted source in your area. It also can show up higher on Google. I'm curious, I don't know if you've tracked which page people are finding on Google. Have you looked at, are they coming to your homepage or are they landing on your Naples favorite page or your service page?
Oh, yeah. I'll have to look and see what the most viewed page is. That's actually something we just talked about in the shelf class a couple weeks ago to like, for like website edits, like trying to figure out like tracking what page your like potential clients are looking at the most. So yeah, that'd be definitely info to look up.
Yeah, I'd be curious if it is, especially because if your business being so like community oriented, if people are being brought in through like the Naples favorites or if they're just coming to a service page or homepage, it'd be super cool information to find out.
Yeah, again, like fostering those business relationships because then you might show up on those other business pages and helps even more.
Exactly. So how are you tracking where people are coming from? Are you tracking like on your contact form, asking where they heard about you, or are you asking them on calls?
Yeah. So anytime someone reaches out, I have things pretty automated now. So they're either reaching out through the contact page or they're just creating an account on our support system, Time to Pet. And I do have a section on each of those that have them like click how they found us, and even have like another option where they can fill it in if their option there. So that's how I.
Okay, awesome. That's seriously one of the best things I feel like anyone can do in terms of like, because there's no point in wasting time on something that's not working. And then, of course, doubling down on what's working, right?
Yeah, exactly. Because I feel like a lot of people think it's like they need to post on social media all the time and they have to like show up. And that's really great. But like, you're not converting those people into clients. It's not worth all of the time. It's kind of like the 80-20 principle. You're spending like 80% of your time for only getting like 20% of the result. And like, even Michelle, I keep bringing her up, that everyone take her class. She said that like, we were talking about Instagram followers, and I told her, I was like, I didn't have a lot for just like a small business. I was like, I have like 2,000 followers. And then she made a really good point, was like, well, how many of those followers are your clients? And I was like, maybe like 20. So yeah, it's like, like I said, like it's a lot of people think like social media is the way, but it is a resource and is a good way to get yourself out there. But knowing where you're getting the inquiries from so you can speak to those people directly is super helpful.
Yeah, it's funny that theme keeps getting brought up too of like social media and like how much it actually is impacting business, which again, it totally has its place. And it also depends on the business, like you said too, because some businesses, all of their inquiries are coming from Instagram. And obviously, if that's the case, that's where you want to spend your time. But I'm noticing a consistent theme of Instagram isn't necessarily the platform, or social media is not necessarily the platform that's getting clients for local pet service businesses. But that doesn't mean it doesn't have a purpose of community aspects and all of the other things that kind of come with social media, like building reputation and all of that kind of stuff. People love to see like their pets on social media and all that kind of stuff. So, but it is a good point. It's like you got to look at the data in order to see where your clients are actually coming from.
Yeah. And I did notice, like, if you have a special service that you offer, like we do pet wedding attendant services. So a lot of people wouldn't know to search for that or look for that on my website. So I do find a lot of my wedding clients through social media, through the wedding planners in Naples or resorts in Naples, just seeing that we offer that service because we talked about it. So like you said, like it's like a balance of, knowing your numbers, but then, putting yourself out there, I guess.
Yeah, true. And I feel like when you look at that too, it's like you're kind of bridging the gap between pet industry and like wedding industry, which I feel like wedding industry is like all social media. Like it's all Instagram because people are searching for inspiration, like Pinterest, and they're searching for visuals when it comes to the wedding industry. So I feel like that makes a lot of sense why that would with wedding services and stuff like that. But as far as your website and the data, did you happen to notice if it was like a gradual thing that you noticed more inquiries on Google or like was an immediate thing after the site went live?
I think it's like a gradual thing. And then like when we did our rebrand last year, I definitely saw like an increase of people reaching out through Google. Like I said, like before, I always knew that like Google was up there, especially when my website's a first, because I was getting a lot of my clients just from referrals before I had like a legitimate website that wasn't just a landing page like I had before. So I definitely noticed, especially after the rebrand, that got a huge boost of clients coming through Google.
Yeah. So from your opinion and your instincts, how do you think your website is helping clients reach out to you? Like, is it the branding itself or is it the flow of the website or SEO? What do you think it was that made the impact?
I think definitely the brand has something to do with it because I switched over from a more like personal brand. I mean, my brand is pretty personal because it's Heidi and Hope because I'm Heidi and my dog name is Hope. And my original logo had a cartoon of both of us. But when I started like a team members and like growing, I just wanted it to be a more like inclusive. So people weren't like, like where's Heidi or where's Hope? Like it was more of a team vibe and like VP vibes and like, because majority of my clients are, retired people that moved here or, people that are visiting, people like that, because it is a very like touristy town. So I just kind of wanted to build a brand that spoke to that. So it was a little more like inclusive, like it wasn't just me and had more of like the Florida vibes that I was looking for. So I don't think a lot of companies down here have that. Like a lot of pet care companies that are like in our groups that don't even have a website or their website is just a landing page or they don't really have a brand per se. Like they have like a logo, but everything that comes with that. So I think people are just super impressed by, the work that's obviously been put into my brand. And then I think like the ease of the website. I mean, I get a lot of compliments on like how easy it was to like learn more information about us and like how to get started. Which is great because it's like one less email or one less call on my end of people like, what services do you offer? Or, like where are you located? Like if it's all on the website and it's all easily accessible, I think that is definitely helpful too.
Yeah, for sure. That's so well said. I feel like all of those things make such a big difference. And especially having great branding, especially in a market where there's not a lot of like you have the competition, but not necessarily from the branding side of things. If others aren't having like that like same sort of like high quality, it's just like such a big way to differentiate yourself. And not even from like, oh, it's prettier. It's like, no, she's legit. Like she's got a legit business.
Yes.
That's
Yes,
awesome.
exactly. I think like when people say that like I'm legit, I think that's like the highest compliment for me. Because like, especially in this industry where people are like, oh, it's like people are still like, oh, I didn't know this was like something you could do full time. And I'm like, yeah, I've been doing it for almost 7 years now. So instead, like people see that website, that's exactly like the reaction I want them to have. Like, oh, she's legit. And like this team is legit and my pets are going to be taken care of.
I love that. That just reminded me, I guess you'd call it like my grandma's, they weren't married, but like her husband basically of like 20 years. I was trying to explain to him the business, which he's a little bit older. So I feel like he didn't really even like, couldn't really grasp it. So I was talking about, we do like logos and websites for pet businesses. And he's like, and people pay you for that? I'm like, yeah, it's a legit thing. They need websites. Like you use Google and like websites. It's funny. I feel like so much like with the pet industry specifically, I feel like a lot of times you get that like downplay of like, oh, she pets dogs and that's it. It's like, yeah, you have a like legit business.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So when it comes to the website, do you have any specific advice for pet business owners who maybe don't feel like their website is working for them? Like what's the most important aspect, do you think, of a website now that you have a super awesome one?
Thanks to you. Oh, I think showing your face and like showing your team, like obviously if you have employees, if you have independent contractors, don't do. But yeah, like showing your face and like showing what you do. Like I had a photo shoot last year with my team at like, and we were like on the beach walking dogs or like, like in like a prevalent place in Naples, like just showing people like having real photos, I guess is what I'm trying to say. Like not like the stock images and not like, like clip art, like having actual real photos of what you do, because it makes it a lot more personal to the client that like you're a real person and like these are the real people that are going to be coming into your home. And then also like not only are they like real people, but like they know what they're doing. So like pictures of feeding a dog or like petting a cat or like giving a cat treats or standing by the dog, like getting ready to go down the aisle, like stuff like that, or it really showcases your services too.
Yeah, that's such good advice. It's actually one of the top things I recommend when we are like in that working with a client and we go from like the branding to the website and they're going to get photos. I'm like, make sure you get photos of you actually doing the service and you are in it too. Like it's not just of the pets because people want to see what the service is like. What does it look like? How are they walking the dog? Like just to see it in action, I feel like makes them also more excited because they can see, oh, like my dog could be on that dog walker. It is really good. And having even like on your about page, having a photo of you actually looking into the camera can build trust. And that's such good advice. Again, with you being so like community oriented, especially that trust factor and the community aspect of being involved in there and personal is so huge. So that's really good advice.
Yeah, and like even like on your favorites page right now, like when we redid mine, we included photos of the actual place at it that I was recommending. So like if it was like a brewery that allowed dogs, like I took a picture of my dog with a beer in it, like or it was a coffee shop, took a client's dog to the coffee shop with a cup of coffee with the logo on it. Doing stuff like that too. And it's so easy if you're already there, just still snap a photo that showcases the business and put that on there too.
And it makes it more like legit too. Cause I mean, I've been on websites before where it's like, oh, I recommend, here's just like a list of like 10 restaurants.
Oh,
but I'm like, well, is there a patio? And like, what does it look like? And have you actually ever been there? Like, so yours feels so real. And I think that's what's awesome about your business. It all feels very real and genuine. And the love for Naples and the community, it's just so impressive. Okay, let's pivot a little bit. And I think this is a really good topic. And I hope that this is okay to share because I love that you want this for our listeners. But when I asked you in the episode prep questionnaire what you wanted our listeners to walk away with, you said you wanted our listeners to feel confident as a business owner, even if that's not what you envisioned for yourself or have experience with. And this is all the stuff that you've had to personally work through as well. Can you share a little bit more about that and what has helped you build confidence as a business owner?
yeah. So like I come from a family of teachers. So naturally I went to college and got a degree in teaching. And then once I was in the field, I just realized that was not what I was meant to do because teachers aren't always paid the best or treated the best. And then, moving to Florida, like I was like animals have always been, are always my passion since I was little. And like I was just never really taught working with animals could be a career path. So I think like my parents wanted something that, had a steady income and had the benefits of a 9 to 5 kind of thing where they just couldn't see how like working with animals could be like an income producing career. So even if like business is not your thing, I mean, if you would have told, even 21-year-old Heidi that she was going to be a business owner, I probably wouldn't have believed you while I was crying in my dormer. But like, you can do it. Like there's so many resources out there. I didn't do this all on my own. I mean, I had like tax professionals and I had like really good groups like Pet Sitter Confessional and like Kristen Morrison really just like helped me get started in like building community, being able to like ask questions and like getting really good advice. So like it's not, we don't need to like recreate the wheel here. There's really good resources and there's good people that can, you at least get started. And if there's something that you don't know, you can find out. I considered briefly going back to school to get a business degree, which, if you have time for that, you have the money for that and the resources, that's great. But I think I've learned more just in the past 7 years of being a business owner, doing it on my own than I would in any kind of class. So I would just encourage people to like, even though like the path that you thought, you can create it. Like if I did it anymore, well, even if you're not good at math, because you can pay people to do all of the math for you. So it's definitely possible.
I love that so much. I resonate with a ton of that as well. And it's funny because I actually did do the business degree. This was before I had the business. I was just kind of like, oh, you go to school and get a degree. And I got a degree in business with an emphasis in marketing. And it's funny because I'm like, I didn't really learn anything. Like we learned a lot of theory, but it wasn't anything about being a business owner. Everything you learn, I feel like you learn by just getting started. And I don't know if you've ever experienced this either, but like sometimes people will come up and like if I, friends or whatever, and kind of be like, oh, look, I could never like start a business. I wouldn't know. I didn't, I don't know how to do that. And I'm like, well, I didn't know how to do it either. Like, I feel like you just like you learn as you go. Like you just learn as you go and anyone can do it.
Yeah, exactly. And now my parents are like, anytime like someone asks about their daughters or like what they do, and they're like, oh, right away, they're like, oh, you own your own business. And they're just like super excited. So they really had their eyes open too that like, yes, like working with pets can be a career and it can be a one.
Yeah. Well, especially now that they're in Naples too, because they probably get to see your business kind of unfold physically as well. I think that's so cool. That's awesome.
Yeah.
So to bring this episode full circle, I'm curious, has that community aspect, I know you briefly mentioned like some groups and reaching out to pet sitter confessional and stuff like that, but how has community and having the right people in your corner contributed to like your sense of confidence?
Yeah, because I think, I'm, Florida specific. It's always good to have like people that understand kind of like your area and not just legally, but like with hurricanes and like pet behavior and like pet safety, it's always good to have people in your corner that, can help you with that. Yeah, so I guess like, just like being like people that like it, I guess, like not just like other pet sitting groups and, like which are all great, but like having people in your community that like understand that like, oh, this like there's a flu season going on right now, or oh, like we're crazy busy because of all the people that are moving here, or this new like cane toad that's poisonous to dogs. Have you seen this? Like it's nice to like have other people that like understand your area and like kind of like what you're going through that can like help guide you or recommend someone to you. Like I needed a lawyer to look over like a non-disclosure agreement, and like people have connections there, just having that like connections, I guess, has really helped me as a business owner. And then, I obviously love like helping other business owners get started and steering them towards the right resources and all of that good stuff.
Yeah. No, it's so true with the connections. Sometimes I feel like as a business owner, it can be a little bit isolating and lonely if you're not physically working with other people all day long. So, I mean, the connections are so helpful, I feel like, not only just for resources and stuff, but also just vent or, because yeah, they definitely relate, especially like when you talk about in your area. And did you help like found, or you're like a board member on the Florida, I probably butchered the name.
Yeah, I'm not on the board any longer, but okay. Yeah, I was a founding member and on the board for the Florida Pet Services Association, which is a nonprofit for pet services in Florida. I mean, anyone can join. You don't have to be in Florida, but yeah, it's kind of like the Texas Pet Sitter Association. We just wanted more of a community aspect that involved all the pet industries that was like Florida specific. So yeah, so I was definitely on the board for that. Did a lot of work there. And then I also just covered the local Southwest Florida petpreneur group of all the different pet businesses that are just in Southwest Florida.
That's cool. Is that like a Facebook group?
Yeah, it's a Facebook group. And like, there were originally like another lady was leading it. I kind of took it over and like renamed it. Nice. And like, we try to like get together like every quarter. Sometimes that doesn't happen because I get really busy. Like just like try to get together and just like, bounce ideas off each other and like recommend services to one another, because everyone kind of does like different services or services in different areas. So it's nice just to have that to fall back on. And then like just having a resource also, like people were like asking like tax questions and like BOI filings and stuff like that. Like it's nice to kind of get the answers and feel comfortable talking with people that are literally your backyard, stuff like that.
Yeah, you're so good. I'm like, you got like your Southwest Florida, you got your Florida, you got your, like, you have all of these like amazing, beautiful connections between Pet Sitter Confessional, Michelle Klein, Mastermind, your local community, and reaching out for partnerships. Like, that's so impressive. You are very impressive, Heidi.
Thank you. Sometimes it
Before
doesn't feel like that.
I know, yeah. Yeah, we're like you say, we're all hardest on ourselves, right? So
Exactly.
before we wrap up, do you have anything else that you want to share on the topic of community or your website or anything you want to share before we learn how to connect with you?
I would just, like encourage, people before, like I said, to don't be shy. Like, put yourself out there, whether that's with other pet professionals in your area or other pet businesses. Like in the long run, like you're all trying to make your community better, and we do that by making connections and forming your own little this community. So just really encouraging people to like get yourself out there and don't be afraid to make connections. Not all of them are going to be viable. Not everyone's going to be open to it, and like not taking it personally and just letting people do what they want to do. But there might be, a really good connection. I mean, consider the owner of that pet boutique that I'm in contact with, one of my really good friends now. So just really like it just keep saying like put yourself out there and don't be afraid to promote yourself and to be there for other businesses in your community.
Absolutely. Very well said. So for our listeners who want to connect with you or learn more about you or check out your website, where can they find you?
Yeah, my website is h&hpetservices.com. And then we're Heidi and Hope Pet Services on Facebook and Instagram.
Awesome. And then before we actually finalize the episode, I always love to end episodes learning a mindfulness or stress reducing or burnout reducing practice that you actually do in your life to help you reduce stress in your business and in your life.
Yeah, so I feel like a lot of us turned our hobby of working with animals into a career. So I think it's really hard to get back into the hobby scene because your main hobby is now what you do every day. So I always try to do something that like is non-pet related that I enjoy and like really grounds me and really like makes me feel like myself. So, that's reading a book that has nothing to do about animals or business or, like getting back into like coloring or painting. I'm taking a boxing class. So I think it's like things that I guess like in your 30s, like you kind of start losing your filter and going back to the things that you used to really enjoy doing and not caring what people think. And that's what I think.
Yeah. Hobbies are seriously, that's such a good one. I feel like so many times people do like the more like, oh, I reduce burnout by like meditating or doing, whatever. But I'm like, sometimes it's just like giving yourself grace to enjoy life, whatever that means for you, whether it's boxing or painting or reading, whatever it is. It's just a matter of enjoying something outside of your business.
Yeah, I feel like your 30s are for rediscovering all the things that you used to like to do when you were like 6 through 12.
I know, right?
And like that you wouldn't do in your 20s because you're like, oh, that's dumb. Like people are going to think I'm stupid. But now in your 30s, like I'm just like, I don't care what people think. Like if I like doing it, I'm going to do it. Like my husband makes fun of me all the time for work.
I love
But
it.
I'm like, it's so much fun.
Yeah, it's very therapeutic. I love it as well. I actually just recently got like one of those paint by numbers, but like for adults.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. But it's crazy.
I've already done one of those.
That's awesome. So I did one where I actually like submitted a picture or whatever, like it's a picture from one of our vacations, and then they like send it back. And it's like crazy. So like I did the media, you could do 3 levels, like beginner, intermediate, or advanced. So I was like, oh, I'll do the intermediate one. And it was like adds an extra 6 hours of painting. And I'm like, oh my gosh. So I'm working on it, and it's just crazy because it's on the desert. So like there's just like rocks on the ground, but it's all of them are different colors and they're like tiny, and it's madness, but it's very therapeutic, and I'm excited for it to be done.
Yeah, I definitely need the beginner because I'm a perfectionist too. So
yeah,
we have a pottery place where you can choose like a pottery item and paint it while you're there. And I am there literally for hours because I'm such a perfectionist.
Yeah.
I just need easy. Like I just need a template.
Yeah. Yeah. I know. Well, that's why I thought it was going to be, I'm like, oh, it'll take me a while. So like, that's good. And I know which colors to put where. So I figured it would be easy in that sense. It would just add more time. But I'm like, no, this is like ridiculous. I'm like hunched over, like trying it, whatever. I'm like, so much for tech neck. I'm like, literally, it's intense, but it's very nice. I love it. So I love that.
Yeah.
I think that's a really good advice for our listeners to find a hobby that they enjoy, no matter what they think other people might think about it.
Yeah, for sure.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much, Heidi. It was a pleasure to be able to talk to you and have you on the podcast.
Thank you for having me.
Thanks for listening to the Pet Marketing Unleashed podcast all the way to the end. You're the best. If you loved what you heard, please share the podcast with your pet biz friends. Make sure you subscribe so you don't miss an episode and leave us a 5-star review. We love to hear what you think of the show, and we are so grateful for all the support and love you show by sharing the podcast with others. And don't forget to stop by our website, petmarketingunleashed.com, where you'll find a ton of resources, recommended tools, blogs, templates, courses, and more to help you grow a stress-free and fulfilling pet business. Here's to saving time, ditching the stress, and standing out from the pack. Thanks again so much for listening, and I will be back soon with a new episode. Bye for now.